It's Riff Arcade. I'm Butts, and this is Let's Playto, the show that looks into the social, historical, and philosophical themes of your favorite games. I want to say right up front that I'm probably not good at games, and I don't have a degree in philosophy, but I hope this video will inspire you to look into these topics and games for yourself. We try to stay neutral to certain topics at Riff Arcade, and while I will do my best to maintain that, some personal opinions might slip through. Please enjoy, and be aware, spoilers incoming. Today, we become the Bat, with Rocksteady Studios' Arkham series. Anyone who has known me for a long time can tell you I'm a huge Batman fan. I grew up with the Adam West show, then the animated series, then the movies, then the comics, then the other movies, then the other show. Just check out my game room swag. In 2009, I finally got my ultimate Batman game. We finally got the ultimate Batman game. All of us. Humanity, I guess. Arkham Asylum. You didn't just play as Batman, you were Batman. Cool gadgets, stalking criminals, inspiring fear, detective work. It was glorious. There was no way to top it. And then Rocksteady topped it. Arkham City was even better. More gadgets, better combat, bigger story, more villains. God, just beautiful. So beautiful. Should have sent a poet. Speaking of villains, Batman's rogues gallery is in full force in these games. Central to the plot of both of them is his greatest rival, the Joker. Come on, you know the Joker, the clown prince of crime. These two are possibly the greatest arch-enemies in all entertainment. Batman representing order, Joker representing chaos. Batman is brooding and mysterious, Joker is loud and flamboyant. Batman hides his identity and struggles with inner demons, Joker flaunts who he is and embraces his madness. Batman's a little bit country, Joker's a little bit rock and roll. But as much as the characters revolve around each other, the Arkham games do point out something that has been asked many times before. If the Joker's so evil, why doesn't Batman just kill him? That's what we're tackling today. Using Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, we want to find out why Batman will never kill the Joker. So who is the Joker? The character debuted in Batman #1 on April 25th, 1940. We aren't sure exactly who provided the most input for his creation. Batman creators Bill Finger and Bob Kane, along with artist Jerry Robinson, all claim to be the originator. We do know that Bill Finger based the design of the Joker on Gwynplaine, the character from the 1928 film The Man Who Laughs, played by Conrad Veidt. Finger wasn't exactly subtle. Even from the start, Joker used his special Joker gas, a poison that kills while leaving the victims with a rictus grin. But after the Comics Code Authority changed the entire comics industry to be more family-friendly, the Joker was turned into a harmless prankster. That would be his characterization during the 60s and early 70s, but the 80s brought the crazy back. Over the years, Joker has driven many major story points in Batman's history. He famously killed Jason Todd, the second Robin, and paralyzed Barbara Gordon. His origin as a character is as mysterious as his actual creation. No one knows his original name, his history, his family, where he comes from, or how he was created. As Joker himself states,
"What can I say? I like to keep things interesting. A wise man once told me that if you have to have an origin story, you're better off making it multiple choice.
And never facing up to the truth of what happened. What you did. How you got here."
Oh, I know exactly how I got here. A big truck brought me here from Arkham. You remember the asylum, don't you?
the most celebrated origin is Alan Moore's The Killing Joke. Her Joker is a failed comedian who was driven insane after the worst night of his life. This is referenced in both Asylum and City.
Things had been getting worse. I was 3 days from the bank foreclosing on my home. The chemical plant I worked nights at was about to lay off half the workforce. And I was sitting in the hospital, holding the hand of my pregnant wife, wishing to God that she wasn't dead.
There's obviously something that made you what you are. What if I'm too scared to remember? It hurts too much.
But his origin doesn't matter, certainly not to the Joker. It's only what he does that is important. He loves causing death, destruction, and putting on a great show. He's killed henchmen.
Let's test him out.
No, I'm still up.
Killed doctors.
Get out of the way.
Used humans as test subjects.
Well, that was unexpected, wasn't it? Well, note to self, need stronger test subjects.
Tortured fellow criminals.
Sorry, Has-Bane. The good doctor won't be a problem much longer. How do you like my puppet? What say we cut him down?
Killed an entire studio audience. Poisoned children. And more. And he stated he'd love to do it all again. So knowing all this, why hasn't Batman just killed the Joker? Isn't Batman partially to blame for not stopping him once and for all? The same cycle repeats. Joker kills, Batman catches him, he's found legally insane, thrown in Arkham, escapes, kills again. Why not just end the Joker once and for all? What's one crazed killer's life versus the thousands he'll take next time? To answer that, we need to know about two ways of looking at ethics: utilitarianism and deontology. If you agree that Batman should off the Joker, then congratulations! You're thinking like a utilitarian. Utilitarianism is not just a long word to say, but it's an ethical theory about how people should act. Utilitarianism states that the outcome of an action determines if that action is good or bad. Utilitarianism goes back a long way. Pre-Socratic philosopher Protagoras did not believe that there were any absolute good or evil. Democritus and Epicurus both thought that an act was good if it brought pleasure, and that pleasure was the ultimate goal. They were opposed by Radicles, who thought that catching some sweet gnar was the highest goal. 8th century Indian philosopher Santideva wished to stop all the present and future pain and suffering of all sentient beings, and to bring about all present and future pleasure and happiness. Niccolo Machiavelli, in his work The Prince, pretty much says the ends justify the means. But modern utilitarianism was described by Jeremy Bentham in 1780. Bentham wrote that it was self-evident that living creatures avoid pain and seek pleasure. It's groundbreaking stuff here. He thought that this was nature's way of trying to tell creatures, especially humans, what actions they should do. Good actions bring pleasure. Therefore, seeking out pleasure leads to repeated good actions, and repeated good actions leads to character. This is all well and good for individuals, but what about groups of people, or even society at large? Bentham went further. He noticed that people vary in what they enjoy, so what was good for society is what brings the most people pleasure. This is the basis for utilitarianism. That people should act in a way to bring about the most amount of happiness and well-being for the most amount of people. Nature has placed mankind under the governance of two sovereign masters, pain and pleasure. It is for them alone to point out what we ought to do, as well as to determine what we shall do. On the one hand, the standard of right and wrong, on the other, the chain of cause and effect are fastened to their throne. They govern us in all we do, in all we say, in all we think. This just kind of seems like common sense, right? Say a group of 4 friends wants to go out to eat. 3 of them want fried chicken, and 1 wants pizza. It's just a given that they will go for fried chicken. Like, duh. That was Bentham's point. You can't really argue against him because people just naturally default to whatever makes the most people happy. The entire basis of democracy is that more people prefer candidate A over candidate B, so candidate A should be in charge. Going back to the Arkham games, it seems like a no-brainer. Kill one maniac to save dozens, maybe even hundreds of lives. Think of the collective sigh of relief from an entire city knowing that they don't have to worry about the Joker anymore. Think of the justice it would bring to the families of his previous victims. Think of the children. Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but there are some problems with utilitarianism. I know Bentham said you can't argue against it, but, well, here we go. One of the biggest flaws in utilitarianism is that all decisions boil down to just a kind of math problem of which happiness is bigger. Bentham even encouraged this and pushed for what he calls hedonic calculus, a way to quantify people's pleasure and happiness and come to a decision based on that. But this doesn't really comfort anyone who is on the losing side of the calculus. Take the friend group, for example. 3 want fried chicken, 1 wants pizza. The 3 friends think this is a win, but what if the last one is allergic to peanut oil and can't eat fried chicken? Utilitarianism just kind of says, well, tough luck, go hungry. It offers no consolation to someone who has to take the hit and be unhappy. And because utilitarianism is outcome-based, it doesn't really care about things like justice. An unfair system that promotes even a tiny majority happiness is better than an actually fair system. 49 people going homeless is terrible, but if it guarantees 51 people are happy and warm in a house, then Bentham and hedonic calculus says there's no problem here. I think the problem can be best summed up in a thought experiment from the brothers Karamazov. Tell me straight out. Imagine that you yourself are building the edifice of human destiny with the object of making people happy, of giving them peace and rest at last. But for that, you must inevitably and unavoidably torture just one child and raise your edifice on the foundation of her unrequited tears. Would you agree to be the architect of such conditions? And can you admit the idea that the people for whom you are building would agree to accept their happiness on the unjustified blood of a tortured child, and having accepted, to remain happy forever? So let's say you take the radical position not to torture a child. How bold of you. In that case, could I interest you in deontology? This is the ethical position opposite to utilitarianism. Deontology thinks that an action is right or wrong based on the action itself and the motives of the person taking the action. Consequences aren't even considered. Certain human behaviors carry their goodness or badness within themselves. You might say that stealing something from someone could lead to a more advantageous life for the person who stole, but the act of stealing is still a bad act. Outcomes can be coincidentally good or bad, but the outcomes are separate from what caused them. The thought that there is an objective right and wrong is very old. Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle all believed it. Confucius wrote that to see what is right and not to do it is a lack of courage or of principle. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, made it a cornerstone of his philosophy. Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, St. Augustus, and Thomas Aquinas all believed in objective goodness. But like utilitarianism, modern deontology can be traced back to one man, Immanuel Kant. Kant is one of those guys that if you want to study this kind of stuff, you have to know about. Kant wrote that the intention of an action, the why you do it, should count more than the outcome. Let's say you have 2 people. One is a billionaire, one is barely scraping by. So the billionaire, I'll just call him Schmilon, donates $10,000 to charity but only to generate Twitter buzz. The person scraping by donates $50, which is an entire day's wage, and they do it without fanfare because they feel it's the right thing to do. Well, according to Bentham, Schmilon did the better thing because his larger donation helped more people. It's just simple math. $10,000 can help more people than 50. But that doesn't sit right, does it? If someone accidentally knocks me over, I probably won't get mad if it was an accident. But if someone tries to push me down, I will get mad, even if they don't. Kant says intention comes before consequence and should be more important. We have to do what is right, but do it for the right reason. Well, how do we know what is right? Wasn't that the whole point of utilitarianism, to discover the right action? Well, Kant was worried about that too. He didn't think everyone should just do whatever they felt was right. Right or wrong, to a deontologist, isn't about personal taste. And thank goodness, because some of y'all have some pretty messed up tastes. Kant's got a test for finding out the correct action. He thought that, well, we should think. Humans possess reason, and we should use our reason to think about our actions. We should act only according to that maxim, whereby you can, at the same time, will that it should become a universal law. This is Kant's famous categorical imperative. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, so moving on. Kant thought that murder was completely acceptable. Wait! That didn't make sense at all. Kant took a very complicated sentence to say, imagine everyone everywhere doing what you're about to do. So let's say you're hungry. You could steal someone's food to eat, but what if everyone is allowed to steal food? You steal food from someone steals the food you just stole, and goes on and on. Pretty soon no one is eating because everyone is stealing everyone else's food. This is stupid. People can't live like that. Kant would say that you are not an exception to the rules. If you wouldn't want other people to do it to you, then you aren't allowed to do it. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Well, that! Just say that, Kant! I should have known Mr. Imperative would take a bunch of words to say something simple. After all, he titled his book Groundwork for the Metaphysics of Morals. Ugh. Kant lays it out like this. Deontologists should use their reason and rationality to determine if an action they want to take is one that would be permissible everywhere. If so, if it conforms to reason, then do it. It's a good action. If not, then you are forbidden to do it. You are not an exception to the rules. When you have discovered what reason shows what you can and cannot do, then your actions will have proper good intentions, and you won't have to worry about the consequences. Sounds pretty bulletproof, right? Well, we thought make most people happy was a no-brainer, and look where that got us. Deontology can lead to some weird situations, and because Kant thought these rules were binding no matter the circumstances, you can never ever break them. So suppose an axe murderer knocks on your door and asks you where your dog is because they want to kill it. The categorical imperative says that lying anytime is wrong, so you must tell the murderer where your dog is. Well, go on. Tell me. Or take the example from before. You're the banker that has to cash Schmilon's Twitter check. Would you deny the charity the money, knowing the source is tainted? Deontology tends to make everything very black and white, and that can be hard to navigate in a world full of gray. Alright, enough talk about old white philosophers. Get to the Batman already. Batman is clearly a deontologist. Not only has he set up rules that he enforces on himself, he will not break them no matter the situation. No killing, no guns. He also wants to inspire the Gotham citizens, Gothamites? Gothheads? He wants to inspire the Gothheads to be courageous and take back their city. In a categorical imperative kind of way, he wants everyone everywhere to take a stand against crime. I mean, maybe not dressing up as a ninja bat and traveling around fighting criminals. And actually, now that I'm hearing that out loud, yes, everyone everywhere should do that. Batman doesn't kill the Joker because he doesn't kill anyone, ever, for any reason. Batman knows he could end all the madness the Joker has planned, but the Joker isn't an exception to the no-kill rule. Even the Joker knows this.
I'll give you
you this one for free. Knock me off! I dare you. End this! Pull the plug! Stop me once and for all! Oh, you're getting too predictable, Bats. Well, I'd love to stay and chat, but I have a party to organize. I've got guests flying in from all over Arkham. You'll see.
He won't do it. No matter the situation, no matter how positive the outcome could be, his rule is unbreakable. And I say could be on purpose. We don't know if the Joker would repent and change his ways tomorrow. Batman could kill the Joker tonight, and during the autopsy, they could find a massive blood clot or a tumor that would have killed the Joker the next day anyway.
You didn't need to.
Why? You would never do it. You left me no choice.
There's always a choice.
This points out another flaw with utilitarianism: time. Sure, we can perform an action that benefits a lot of people in the near future, but what about 10 or 50 or 5,000 years from now? No way of knowing that. I believe that's probably why Kant tried to ground deontology in reason, because reason stands the test of time. But this is also why deontology is so unbending. Kant famously said, "Let justice be done, though the world perish. If the truth shall kill them, let them die." Batman rejects this, probably in a really cool and brooding way. He will have his truth, but not at the death of another person. The point is, Batman's categorical imperative finds him always avoiding lethal options, always trying to save everyone, even his enemies. So what did we learn here today? We learned that a sweeping low roundhouse kick aimed at ankle height is the best way to incapacitate someone who favors their right leg. But less importantly, we learned about deontology and utilitarianism. Which is better? Oh. Seriously, people have been arguing this for over 2,000 years. You think a goofy little video essay is going to solve it? Look, obviously, if we go around never thinking of consequences, we're going to be complete tools. We all know some YOLO bro. Oh my god, has anyone ever called them brolos? I'm trademarking that. We all know some brolo who just does whatever they want all the time and their life is a mess. So yeah, think about the consequences. Of course, if you only think about the consequences, you'll become also a tool. Everything you do will be a little calculation, a little transaction. You'll constantly be jumping from task to task the moment you find out the consequences are inadequate. You'll end up being a cruel and cold person. I guess the best we can do is think about the consequences of our actions, try to work towards the best outcome, but also remember that some things are worth doing simply because they're worth doing. So, I guess, think before you act? Oh yeah, that's a much better way of saying that. Geez, that took a bunch of words to say something really simple. Oh god, no! I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and like if you want to see more. Check out more videos and streams on YouTube or Facebook by searching for Riff Arcade.